put into practice what you have learned and received from me, both from my words and from my actions, even things I didn't see myself. And the God who gives us peace will be with you. My name is David Woodall with the United Church of Canada and the Emsdale Pastoral Charge. The simple truth of the matter is that Christ invites us to put into practice all the things that we have learned in life. If we want to know how to live, put into practice what we have learned and received. Other people will learn from us, from the way we live and what we put into practice. Paul, in his typically audacious manner, recognizes that as a follower of Christ, Christ dwells within him. That Jesus invited Paul and invites us to be his follower, to share his words, to be part of the incredible mission of God that Jesus mirrored in his life. Just do it. Because the Christian life is a life of doing, not of talking. God continues to create all the time. The Spirit says, "Behold, I make all things new." God didn't say, "I make all things old." God didn't say, "I make all things the same." God said, "Behold, I make all things new." It is possible to speak all the words anyone could ever want to hear about anything. We can tell you true and heartwarming stories until we're blue in the face. We can conduct meaningful liturgical worships that will strike you in your heart. But it's all a waste of time if we just talk the talk. Christ invites us, Paul encourages us to walk the walk. When you or I understand that there is a spiritual side to who I am, that awareness makes us different. How we express that awareness is irrelevant. Some will say, "I am different because of my faith." Others will say, "I accepted Christ into my life, and so I am different." Still others will say, "When I am still in nature, the spirit of all life infuses me, and I am different." It doesn't matter how we try to explain this. It matters that we recognize that when we come in touch with the Spirit, we change. We're different because of that. We approach life in new ways. Some people report a heightened awareness of beauty in life, in the world that surrounds us. The colors of the rainbow, the bright morning dew, the song of the sparrows. Others say there's a heightened awareness of the need for love and for justice and for compassion. In the descriptions of the temple in Jerusalem, we read that in the very center was a place called the Holy of Holies, the place where God dwelled. Well, what if that Spirit dwells inside of each one of us? That you and I are unique, and we're sacred, and we're holy. We're like the new temple. Well, Paul would say that. Within us is that sacred place of the Spirit where we find our best selves. Kind and good, gentle and loving, with a hunger for justice, the strength to resist evil, and the ability to walk humbly with God and with each other. There are, of course, people to whom the concepts of kindness, gentleness, and loving are difficult concepts to grasp. Relationships there are defined by power or beauty, by hierarchy, by authority. Gentleness and goodness implies weakness and vulnerability. They miss out on this one truth. There is a power and strength behind that gentleness and goodness that overcomes even the darkest waves of evil. As parents and grandparents, we watch our children and grandchildren go through relationship experiences of weakness and vulnerability with their peers and with others. Sometimes it's very hard to see this happen. They can be hard on their friends, and their friends can be hard on them. Part of life and growing up is allowing our children and grandchildren the space and the opportunity to be hurt by life, to struggle through difficult times, and not to solve their problems for them. And that can be frustrating when we have to stand by and let them stand on their own 2 feet. We cannot take care of them or protect them from life, but we can nurture the resilience of character and the powerful spiritual side of them, which gives everything they need to be good and healthy and wonderful people. Gentleness and goodness grows out of good self-esteem. Self-esteem grows over time. When we're young, we can be hard on each other because we're just building our self-esteem. For some, by the time they've reached the age when they've developed enough self-confidence to allow them to be gentle and good with each other, sometimes they no longer know how to do it. Often many of our attitudes towards each other arise out of the baggage of those hard years when we were growing up. And some of us still carry those scars. So for many of us, when we hear of gentleness and goodness, we think only of weakness and vulnerability. And how sad that is in a world that so desperately needs some gentle and good people. Charles Kingsley writes, "Did it ever strike you that goodness is not merely a beautiful thing, but by far the most beautiful thing in the whole world, so that nothing is to be compared for value with goodness, that riches, honor, power, pleasure, learning, the whole world and all that is in it are not worth having in comparison with being good. And the utterly best thing for a person is to be good, even though you'd never be rewarded for it." Or Edward Chapman has this thought: goodness is richer than greatness. It lifts us near to God. It's manifested according to our abilities with our sphere. Every day I bless God that the great necessary work of the world is so faithfully carried on by humble men in narrow spaces and by faithful women in narrow circles, performing works of simple goodness. From Paul, show a gentle attitude towards everyone. The Lord's coming soon. Don't worry about anything, but in all your prayers ask God for what you need, always asking Him with a thankful heart, and God's peace, which is far beyond human understanding, will keep your hearts and your minds safe. If I've taught you anything, or written to you anything about your faith, or spoken to you words that have brought you hope, in fact, if you have seen something worth emulating in me, then do it. Just do it. Because the Christian life is a life of doing, not of talking. It is the life of becoming new. If you see something in my life that you can use as an example or as an inspiration, then put it into practice. Use it. We see the good and the possibility in people. It's a vision that brings us to life. God is close at hand, so live faith. Quiet yourself in prayer or meditation or yoga or whatever. Be yourself. Be the person God first created, not what others think you should be. Be good and gentle. Others learn how to live life and faith by watching you. Poetically expressed, the careful man I ought to be. The little fellow follows me. I do not dare to go astray, for fear he'll go the self-same way. Not once can I escape his eyes. Whate'er he sees me do, he tries. Like me, he says he's going to be, that little chap who follows me. He thinks that I am good and fine, believes in every word of mine. The base in me he must not see, that little chap who follows me. I must remember as I go, through summer sun and winter snow, I'm building for the years to be, that little chap who follows me. Or in the words of John Wesley, do all the good you can. By all the means you can, in all the ways you can, in all the places you can, at all the times you can, to all the people you can, as long as ever you can. Put into practice what you have learned and received from me, both from my words and from my actions, even things I didn't see myself. And the God who gives us peace will be with you. Quite simply, my friends, just do it. Live the life. Amen.